couldn't believe it, because he's just 23 years old.
It's been a somber day here in Lawrenceburg as the community mourns the loss of a state trooper killed in a wreck.
A Floyd County lawyer suspected of fraud made an appearance in court today. Coming up, the request his attorneys made to the judge.
It's a fairly simple crime for the suspect to do, and it's a very hard crime for the victims to wash what they did to them away.
These checks aren't what they appear to be, how a group of addicts pulled off a lucrative scam.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Family and friends say he had a big personality and a bright future ahead of him. Tonight, a Central Kentucky community is mourning the loss of a Kentucky State Police trooper killed in a crash.
23-year-old trooper Eric Chrisman died last night in an accident in western Kentucky. Chrisman grew up in Anderson County and was only 6 months out of the State Police Academy. Tonight, WKYT Sam Smith is talking to those who knew him. Here's our top story at 5:30.
You just don't think this is going to happen to someone you know, someone you've loved and taught.
Trooper Eric Chrisman graduated from the Christian Academy of Lawrenceburg in 2009. His former teacher, Judy Sly, was shaken by the news of his death.
I couldn't believe it, because he's just 23 years old.
Sly says even at a young age, Chrisman knew he wanted to be a police officer.
Oh, he was very, personable. He loved people. I think that's one of the reasons he wanted to go into law enforcement.
Chrisman graduated from the State Police Academy in January, and he was killed in a crash in western Kentucky when his cruiser collided with a tractor trailer yesterday.
I just instantly broke out in tears. I can't believe it.
Troopers escorted his body from the medical examiner in Louisville to the funeral home in Lawrenceburg.
The biggest thing about Eric was his joy and his smile. He always had a positive attitude. Even when things weren't going well, he always smiled and just looked straight forward and just had a great attitude.
That attitude is why he was so active in his church and at his school, and why those close to him will miss him.
Because Eric's in heaven. He's up there dancing, having a good old time.
In Lawrenceburg, Sam Smith, WKYT.
Ritchie and Peach Funeral Home will handle Chrisman's funeral arrangements. Visitation is Sunday at 3 and then Monday at 9. The funeral service will follow the final visitation. Both will be at Nineveh Christian Church in Lawrenceburg. Also in Anderson County, an officer who lost his battle with cancer was laid to rest this afternoon. Officer Kenny Goodlett died last week. After he died, more than 60 police, fire, and EMS crews escorted his body from hospice in Lexington back to Lawrenceburg. Goodlett was a police officer for nearly 30 years.
A Mercer County road has reopened after a deadly crash. Deputies had to shut down Bohan Road and Mount Pleasant Road this afternoon. Deputies have not released any details about what caused the crash or how many people were involved. Today, attorneys in Floyd Circuit Court asked a judge to dismiss a lawsuit against Eric C. Kahn, a lawyer under federal investigation for fraud. Kahn was in court today and was called to the stand, but he refused to testify. WKYT's Garrett Weimer is at the live desk with more on what happened in the courtroom. Garrett.
Well, about 900 of Kahn's former clients face hearings with the Social Security Administration to redetermine whether they're actually eligible for disability benefits. And as those clients try to track down medical records for those hearings, a temporary restraining order is in place to keep Kahn and his staff from destroying any documents. In court today, Kahn's lawyers say the order isn't necessary and ask the judge to dismiss the suit because of a lack of evidence. Opposing attorney Ned Pillersdorf argued the case should move forward because of previous testimony about Kahn destroying medical records. Pillersdorf called Kahn to the witness stand, but Kahn invoked his Fifth Amendment right and did not testify.
To me, the silence was deafening, that the Kahn defense team did not deny that for 4 days he had a bonfire and burned evidence and shredded millions of documents of crucial medical records that my clients who testified today alluded to.
That hearing lasted about half an hour. As for the request to dismiss the case, the judge says he'll issue his decision by noon tomorrow. At the live desk, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
In May, about 900 of Khan's former clients had their disability benefits suspended. They were reinstated 2 weeks later, pending those eligibility hearings.
Investigators have identified a man killed in a crash on I-75. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Madison County. The coroner says 35-year-old Leo Marion of Pulaski County died when he rear-ended a semi yesterday near exit 76 in Berea. Marion was pronounced dead at the scene. No one else was hurt. In Warren County, 2 people charged in connection with the death of a toddler pled guilty in court today. Tiffany Sampson and Robert Dishman are accused of killing 19-month-old Adrian Maldonado in 2012. The Kentucky Medical Examiner's Office says the toddler died from head, chest, and arm injuries. Prosecutors recommended a 5-year sentence for Sampson and a 10-year sentence for Dishman. And in Rockcastle County, Kentucky State Police have issued a golden alert for a man who's been missing since last night. Police say 77-year-old Gerald Chandler was last seen around 7:30 last night. Police say someone spotted Chandler walking along US 25 near the Laurel County line. Police and search crews searched that area but didn't find him. Police say he was last seen wearing a red hat, white t-shirt, blue overalls, and black shoes.
We're getting a little relief from the humidity and the rain today, but it won't last long. Meteorologist Jim Caldwell is tracking some storms moving back into the area. Jim?
Yeah, it could be quite the eventful day as we head through the afternoon and evening tomorrow, and even tomorrow night as those strong and severe storms will approach. The heat and humidity build in long before that during the daytime hours. Right now across Kentucky, something that we have been finding the past couple of days would be a lot of those hazy conditions. You look outside right now and you're not seeing any haze here in Lexington. The humidity is down. You don't have all that moisture hanging around the air, which causes that hazy appearance as the sun tries to, or passes through all of the droplets of water that are hanging out. So it's not as hazy out there today either. We're talking very low relative humidity, at least for now. That'll change as we move forward, though. Across central and eastern Kentucky on Defender, it remains quiet. Temperatures have bumped up just a little bit. Still not that bad at all. We're around average for this time of year, with those mid-80s showing up here in Lexington. Got some low 80s out to our east and even more mid and upper 80s in southern and eastern parts of Kentucky. We're going to be watching northwest skies over the next couple of days. Showers and thunderstorms will be making a run at us from that area, and that's where we could get in on some of the strong to severe action. We'll be turning up the heat one more time as we likely get into the low 90s tomorrow. Then we start tracking severe thunderstorms late tomorrow night, and then overall it's a much cooler trend. I will break down all of that coming up for you here in just a few minutes.
Firefighters spent several hours cleaning up a big mess on a busy Lexington road this morning. Firefighters say fuel spilled from a tractor trailer along Man o' War between Palumbo Drive and Blazer Parkway. Police say the driver didn't realize the trailer was leaking. The road reopened around noon.
Secretary of State Allison Lonergan Grimes is warning businesses about a scam. Her office says some businesses have been receiving 2015 annual minutes forms from the Division of Corporate Services. The form tells businesses to provide information about shareholders, corporate directors, and officers. It also asks businesses to pay a $150 fee. Secretary Grimes issued a statement today that says, quote, "I encourage anyone with questions about their official business filing obligations to contact my office directly," end quote.
This story comes with a warning. Sending money by check might not be as safe as you think. As Sam Dick tells us, a group of con men figured out a way to make big money by stealing from hundreds of victims.
A gang of people that were addicted to methamphetamine.
That's who started up an illegal check washing scam to bankroll their habit.
You get a chemical, you put it in a little wash bin, you can put a check in there, and the handwritten ink will come off, and you can therefore use that check and put whatever you want in there.
The 10 con men were making checks out to fake names and producing phony IDs.
These people were able to get a hold of blank temporary driver's license copies, and so then they were able to put whatever information they needed on there, and they were very good at it.
There were hundreds of victims.
It's a fairly simple crime for the suspect to do, and it's a very hard crime for the victims to wash what they did to them away.
The losses were not only financial, many were personal.
There were checks that were going, to nephews and to grandchildren for birthdays, and they find out later that their grandchild didn't get their check, and you know, what's that kid thinking on their birthday?
That was Sam Dick reporting. Postal inspectors recommend you check your bank and credit card statements daily to make sure there are no unauthorized charges. The two candidates for Kentucky's governor now agree about what should happen to the Jefferson Davis statue in the rotunda of the state capitol.
And a new poll about the race for governor shows Republican Matt Bevin with a slight lead. Bill Bryant has the bottom line.
Good evening. Democratic candidate for governor Jack Conway today joined the call for removing the statue of Confederate President Jefferson Davis from the Kentucky Capitol Rotunda. Davis's statue is in the entrance to the Capitol near the statue of Abraham Lincoln. Both men were born in Kentucky. Yesterday, Republican candidate for governor Matt Bevin raised the issue, and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said the statue should be down the road at the Kentucky History Museum. In his statement today, Conway says he consulted with some African-American leaders and also reached the conclusion that the Davis statue should be moved from the Capitol to a museum. A new poll is stirring up some comments about Kentucky's statewide races. The public policy poll shows a close race for governor, with Republican Matt Bevin holding a slight lead, 38 to 35%. Independent Drew Curtis shows up at 6%. The poll showed Republicans with an early advantage in each of the statewide races for constitutional offices. The decision about same-sex marriage could come down from the U.S. Supreme Court as early as tomorrow. Decisions could also be released Friday or Monday before the High Court's term ends. Lexington Fairness announced it is planning an event, either a rally or a protest, on the evening of the day the marriage decision comes down at the Fayette County Courthouse Plaza. Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal entered the crowded Republican race for the White House today. The 44-year-old Jindal made it official in New Orleans. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
Lexington's Safety City will host a summer safety fair this weekend. CareSource Health Insurance presented Lexington Police Chief Mark Barnard with a $5,000 check to fund Kid Print ID. This weekend, children can get their photo and fingerprint taken. Safety City leaders say the goal of the program is to help keep children safe. Lexington police officers will be on hand to help make the IDs. The summer safety fair is this Saturday from 11 to 4 on Red Mile Place here in Lexington.